before 11 Central African time. So I will not waste any more time. We're going to jump. Is it dive? We are diving straight into it. Okay, so today we are talking about the event that is set to take place on the 18th, and it will be with World Congress, and it's called We Are Inclusion. And it was for the first time in the MENA region. This global gathering brings together leaders from over 70 countries to chart the future of inclusion for people with intellectual disabilities. Now, joining me is a trailblazer, Sue Swenson, who is president of Inclusion International. From the corridors of the United Nations to classrooms and communities around the world, Sue has led efforts to take education as well as policy and society more inclusive and more just. Under her leadership, Inclusion International has become a vision, a voice for millions. Sue, thank you so much for talking to us this morning on Tech Africa.
It is my pleasure, and thank you for the invitation.
Where are we talking from?
I'm in Sharjah in the United Arab Emirates.
Oh, yes, I was correct. I did say that earlier, and I just wanted to make sure. What time is
Yep.
it where you are?
It is 1:45 in the afternoon.
All right, take us through this year's theme with the event that's set to take place on the 18th, and you also have quite a big list there. Guests from over 70 countries. That's major.
It is major, and probably I think about 200 different organizations from those countries. I just came from a room where we can't really stop people from talking to each other because everyone is so excited to be together after COVID. The last time we had an in-person World Congress was in 2018. So we're very grateful to be here. We'll probably have more than 500 people here. So that feels really good to have that chance to meet together and discuss what's happening. It's interesting how much similarity there is, no matter where you are in the world. So whether you are in North America or Sub-Saharan Africa or wherever you are, there are still key challenges that are affecting people with intellectual disabilities and their families. So it's a lot to talk about. We really have a good opportunity to come together and talk about things.
And in your view, Sue, what does real inclusion look like in today's world?
Real inclusion looks like it's there by design. It's the default. You begin by belonging with everyone else. You don't have to fight your way in. You don't have to sign a contract to get in. You don't have to go through some kind of huge planning to be able to be in your church or your synagogue or your mosque or your school or your workplace or your family or any place else. You can just be brought in and be recognized as a full member and an equal participant in everything that's going on.
You are speaking my language. I completely agree, and it is so well said. So you've worked across different countries and systems. How can international platforms like this one help Congress drive change at the national and community level, particularly in the in the continent of Africa? Pardon me.
Exactly. We are built on the notion of networking. We pretty much have been for decades. So we really are focused on helping our members help each other and helping them connect to each other and ask each other for advice, what worked, what isn't working, how are things for you. Those kinds of connections are very important to us. And I will say that COVID was really hard for us because we couldn't meet in person, but it was good for us in one sense, and we are speaking on Zoom, and that has been a technology that has made a big difference to people around the world to be able to come together and get to know each other and work on problems and work on solutions and talk to each other in much more, we don't have to go through the problems of travel. We just meet with each other. I think that's really important. And Inclusion International, we don't insert ourselves in a country unless a member invites us in. So if they do invite us in, we have experts on call in education and in other areas who can help the member figure out what they should be asking for in their country. But that's only by invitation. We don't ever just travel in somewhere and say, here's what you should be doing. We're organized around the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Everything we do, we are trying to do to advance the CRPD for people with intellectual disabilities and their families. So parents, siblings, grandparents, everyone who is involved, wives, husbands, everyone who is involved with persons with intellectual disabilities, we want to make sure that they are all getting the support that they need so that they can support the person with intellectual disability to enjoy their full rights.
And from your global perspective, what are the foundational elements that are needed to make inclusive education more effective and sustainable?
Well, commitment is first. And we have had decades now of specialization and diagnostic approaches to education where, oh, you have this label, so you're going to go to that school, or you have this problem, so you're going to go to that school, and we will bring in certain kinds of supports for you. And that turns out to be a very difficult system to run and not very effective. And it turns out to be a lot more effective to have all of the children go into the classroom. In the United States, we call it multi-tiered systems of supports. So in every classroom, there are some children who need help with reading or children who need help with spelling. And then there are children with intellectual disabilities who might need help in a more individualized way. So the first tier is we're going to provide a little bit of extra help to all of the children who might need it. And then as we go up the hierarchy, we might get to a point where we're providing help only to one child at a time. But that's a pretty complicated system to put together and to help educators understand that those kinds of supports would be available to them in an ordinary classroom. So we are focusing on trying to find ways always to bring supports to the educators. We also have to help parents understand. So after many decades of medical model and specialization, parents have gotten used to the idea that there is some kind of special program somewhere that will help my child. And it's not until they see their child truly be included that they realize what the impact of real inclusion is and why it's better than specialization. My own son never walked, he never talked, he was legally blind. He didn't feed himself, he didn't toilet himself. He was a darling, charming, happy man and boy who, once he was fully included in school, he learned how to be himself with everyone else. And that made him a source of joy in a classroom. And also, Charlie never had a teacher who didn't tell me it was their best year in teaching. And the reason was really strange. They said he warms up the classroom and every child can help Charlie, no matter if they stutter, they can read to him and he doesn't make fun of them. And it turns classrooms into places where children help each other instead of bullying each other or dissing each other. And that is pure gold in a classroom, in my opinion.
Speaking like a true advocate, I'm just going to wrap up with this, Sue. Inclusion often, of course, intersect with other issues like poverty. And in Africa, sometimes it's a big factor. There's also an issue around access, inequality. How can then policymakers ensure that disability inclusion is not just treated as a standalone issue? Also, look at these intersections that I alluded to earlier on.
That's a brilliant question. Brilliant. And Inclusion International takes the approach that we don't just talk about disability inclusion. When we're talking about inclusion, we're talking about everybody. So whether it's a language barrier or poverty or being unhoused or having conflict in your background or having lots of adverse environmental effects in your childhood, everyone needs to be included. And so we're always looking for solidarity. We're always looking for partners, and we don't think there should be special pull-out programs for all of those children. Every child should get what they need, and they should all be welcomed into our communities and our families and our schools on an equal basis with everyone else. I will say this: the Universal Declaration of Human Rights begins, whereas the recognition of the equal rights of all members of the human family is the foundation of justice and peace in the world. And I think what we are trying to aim at is the clear understanding that we don't do this work for our own convenience. We're not just doing this to make our own lives easier or better, although those are outcomes that we firmly expect. We are doing this because we want peace in the world. And we believe that by insisting on inclusion for all children, we can achieve that.
Thank you so much, Sue, for talking to us this morning. All the best with the event. And you were saying that you were in a room and people were already excited to be in person. Does it mean that the event has officially started?
This is the pre-event day. So we had a self-advocacy summit with, I think they said 280 self-advocates from all different countries meeting together. And I was in the room with the family summit, and we had about 100 and some parents from all around the world. And boy, once they start talking, you just can't stop them. So people are making new friendships, and we will go into the summit with family members and self-advocates already having a firm foundation of connection under them. So that's important to us.
All right. Thank you once again for taking time out to engage us. All the best. And tell them I said hello all the way from South
I
Africa.
shall. Thank you for the excellent questions. Thank
All
you.
right. It's Sue Swenson, who is a president of Inclusion International. And we're going to put that conversation to bed now. It is 6 minutes before 11 Central African time. One last song just before we go to the last bulletin also of the day. But I'm still here. We still have a full hour on the other side of that.
Tech Africa.